Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. We're going to have another Israel-Palestine update, giving you the most up-to-date information that we can, guys. Okay, so sit back, relax and enjoy, and I'll see you in the comments, troops. Let's get straight into it. So I've decided to show my face on these videos again. I don't know, I'm kind of in two minds whether or not I like the webcam on or not. Let me know in the comments, troops. I'd greatly appreciate that. We're going to waste no time anyway. Today's date, 11th of October. Right now, the time of recording is about 5 to 10 at night. So Biden, let's zoom straight into this map then. Loads going on, troops. Biden at a meeting with Jewish organizations. He has made it clear to the Iranians, be careful. We've seen over the past few days, the Iranians have been shouting off certain things, and the Americans have as well. It looks like, you know, if either one of them get involved in this matter, even just a little bit, that the other group is pretty much going to dedicate to that action as well. So, yeah, it's definitely heating up. In fact, let's listen to what Biden has to say on the matter, guys. Here we go.
Say thank you. Thank you to all of you in this room. You've not only cared, but you've been breaking your neck the last couple of years to deal with this overall issue of anti-Semitism. And I know many of you are personally impacted by what's happened in Israel. There are thousands of dual citizens, maybe some of your relatives that are there. And Doug, I want to thank you for all the work you've done on behalf of our administration to combat anti-Semitism. And I apologize, I've been on the phone around the clock with our friends around the world, quite frankly, discussing what's going on in Israel. And I want you to know that I want to thank you as well for, all of you as well, for working the work you're doing to bring comfort and in this moment of grief for those of you who are grieving as well. And you'll read this weekend in synagogue, the Torah teaches us that God made stars to, quote, give light on the earth and separate light from darkness. Give light on the earth and separate light from darkness.
Right. I'll be honest, guys. I'm not one for. We're going to listen to a bit more of that, but I just need to intervene slightly. In the Marines, what we call someone who talks like that is just a load of waffle. Okay. Yes, he's saying. He's not saying the wrong things. He's sympathizing with what's happened over there. Okay. But sympathizing with just one side only really does show one side, okay? What's going on in that region holistically, and what has gone on for a long time, is both sides are to blame. And this is where I've kind of concluded this whole matter. People always want to ask what side you're on. I'm on neither side, all right? I don't think it's fair to pick a side when, one, it's got nothing to do with me anywhere, but two, just looking at it from an outsider, both parties are definitely at fault. No one's right in this circumstance, and that's the thing that I think is difficult. People have to take sides these days, but I'm not taking a side. I think it's wrong. Killing, no matter what, is wrong, okay? And what's happening on both sides is wrong, guys. What this guy is saying is he's taking a sympathetic stance to one side and one side only. I'm not too sure what the politics behind that is, but Israel and, you know, America, they seem to be in each other's back pockets, guys, okay? So when you look at it from that standpoint, it's understandable why they're saying they support one side, all right? Which, is that right? Is that wrong? Let me know in the comments. I'm open for a debate, guys. I'm not too fussed with with these questions being asked, because at the end of the day, I want to learn as well. I want to know what's right for this situation, okay? Anyway, listen to him.
You know, it's been hard to find that light during the darkness of these past few days. When terrorist groups like Hamas brought not only terror, but sheer evil to the world, evil that echoes the worst and matches, in some cases, exceeds the worst atrocities of ISIS. More than
It's been horrendous, some of the viewing, especially on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, over the past few days. When I was in the military, 10, 15 years ago, some of the videos that were coming out from ISIS, the groups that I just mentioned, still haunt me to this day. All right, I was very young and naive at the time, viewing some of this stuff in the military. Wow, it really did shook my soul and scared me. It was horrific. So whether I've got mentally more hardened over the past few years, I honestly, I'll still stand by this. Nothing can compare to some of the viewing from ISIS of all those years ago. I'll be honest, that was pretty horrible and pretty gruesome, all right? And thankfully, a lot of that stuff is no longer circulating on the internet anymore.
1,000 civilians slaughtered in Israel. By the way, I've been speaking with a number of Israeli leaders, a number of leaders around the world, leaders in the region as well. And, among those who have been victimized, this evil, who've been killed, are at least 22 American citizens.
Right, this is the bit what I want to get into. All right, we've seen enough of that. So 22 citizens, we understand the stance of America, guys. What I'm worried is that this whole thing escalates into a conflict that's greater than this conflict here. Okay, this is happening in this region. It's terrible, but what happens when other areas of the world start getting involved? All right, we just need to look a little bit north. In fact, pretty much direct north. All right, into this region here. And understand what's going on in Ukraine right now. Not too far away, in close to the Middle East, we've got this fighting here. America's already involved in the Ukraine, whether you like it or not, indirect, direct, whatever you want to call it. They're involved, okay, with supporting them with humongous, massive financial backing, weapons, and all of that stuff. As is Britain. If America gets involved here, does that cause World War III? Are we currently in World War III and we just don't know it yet? Is that one for the history books? That's a direct escalation if America gets involved in this, because other countries such as Iran, potentially Syria, you've got all these neighboring countries, the whole Middle East gets stirred up through this. Does America need to get involved for the sake of 14 civilians? And I know every life matters, but 14 civilians in the grand scheme of things, is that really worth sending all the troops over to get involved, to then escalate it where countries are getting involved and fighting each other? Because if America gets involved, Britain normally gets involved as a result, okay? We're the little brother, so to speak, and we get dragged around everywhere. I don't know, guys. I don't know the answer to that one. Anyway, next up, POTUS calls Hamas attack a campaign of pure cruelty and the deadliest day for Jews since the Holocaust. Silence is complicity. I refuse to be silent, he says. Quite a bold statement. Al-Qassam Bridges, an Israeli woman and her 2 children were released after being detained during clashes. Al-Qassam Bridges, where's that? Oh, right, okay, so it's right next to the... So it's right next to Gaza City. That's happening there. Quite a lot going on around Gaza City over the past few moments. And for the first time, a telephone conversation between the president of Iran, Raisi, and the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, bin Salman. The war in Gaza is on the agenda. What does that mean? What does that mean for you? What does that mean for anyone? For the first time, a telephone conversation between the president of Iran, Raisi, and the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, bin Salman. The war in Gaza is on the agenda. Obviously, we're looking at why they would want to be involved. Okay, it's yeah, this is scary, guys. If we get the likes of, Saudi Arabia is an absolute powerhouse, whether you like it or not. There's some very, very wealthy, powerful individuals in Saudi Arabia. Iran, yeah, goes without saying. They've been wanting to go for a long time, haven't they? 10, 15 years or so. It's been popping off with them. So I think they just need a good enough reason to be able to get involved in some way, shape or form, and they will. And if they have the support of Saudi Arabia, we're talking big, big problems on a global stage, okay? We don't need that. We don't need that at all. So Gantz in Gaza, they feel our power, and if necessary in Lebanon, they will also feel it. So we've got statements all over here near Tel Aviv, Hashalom. I've been to Tel Aviv. Fantastic place, guys. I don't know if this is actually the name of... Is that the actual area? It certainly looks like it. I'm not too acquainted with this map, guys. Netanyahu, we saw forced children who were shot in the head, people who were burned alive, young women who were raped and slaughtered. We are fighting an enemy worse than ISIS. I've heard that slogan passed around quite a few times now, guys, okay? The Prime Minister says the people of Israel are united, and today their leadership is also united. We established a national emergency government. So this dude is... he's escalating things. He looks like a nasty piece of work, doesn't he? He doesn't look like someone you want to mess with. But yeah, I was there 6 years ago, guys, on a military tasking, and I thought the place was beautiful. I did go to see a lot of the historic areas. I did go into Bethlehem. If you know where Bethlehem is located, it's located pretty much within the boundaries that we're talking about. You know, you have to go through those big armed patrolled walls and stuff where the gate sentries are. And I was shocked and really upset at the conditions in which the Palestinians were living in. Okay, it was upsetting. Okay, on one side you've got people with rights, people with freedom, people with the ability to do within the right way whatever they want. Okay, when we went to pubs, people were living very, very much like us Westerners. In fact, I described Tel Aviv as one of the most free cities I've ever been in. It was fantastic. Okay, and then we went to Palestine, and it felt like the place was suffering, and that was with me with zero knowledge of the place. Okay, it just felt like it was struggling, guys. Okay, irrespective of your opinion on the place, it's not good to have that kind of cohabitation together. Two types of people living very, very different lives. It's not good, all right? So I don't know what the change would be, but yeah, it's not nice. He also says we are fighting with all our might on all fronts. Israel army says it's carrying out a new wave of airstrikes against many Hamas sites in the Gaza Strip. So this place here is getting absolutely hammered, guys, all right? We're getting a lot of gunfire, a lot of airstrikes within this area, and we understand that airstrikes are absolutely devastating, okay? They destroy infrastructure, they destroy whatever in that infrastructure, they destroy pipelines, they destroy communication lines, they destroy logistics, they destroy everything, all right? You can't get water in. This place is effectively under siege, which means you just need to think medieval on this, okay? What did a siege of a place look like 500 years ago of a certain area? It meant you are surrounding that area with manpower and violence. You're stopping water, you're stopping food, you're stopping people coming in and out, and effectively you're going to, wear these people down from within. So when you come to do the clear-up operation, it's easy. The people are weak. Most of them are dead. And that's what a siege is to me. That's what history would say a siege is. So it's terrible. No one wins this. No one comes out of this winning. That's the problem we face today, troops. But I digress. And this is just one of many images coming out of the area of the absolute destruction, guys. This is just a picture to, many of us. Yeah, just a picture of a destroyed place. But to the people who lived there, this is homes, this is businesses, this is family and friends, this is cafes, this is all of those things. Completely destroyed, okay? And it's a terrible sight. It's a one that I hate. We have to look, not too long ago, Myanmar, the Philippines, it looked pretty similar to this. In fact, if you were to say this is there, you would have believed it was, okay? Absolutely blitzed to oblivion. Similar scenes. And this is just one road stretch. This is just one part of the road in a massive, massive area that's been absolutely hammered, guys. So either way, it's terrible. Here we have some more buildings. I think that looks like a mosque behind it of some sort, potentially. Not a lot of people are going to be surviving that, guys. Again, there, some of these images I'm not going to be able to display, so I won't. Absolute, utter destruction. There's a guy looking out. I mean, you can't fake that, right? That's absolutely been hammered. There we go. Another airstrike of an area. Yeah, utter destruction, utter amount of death, lot of pain and turmoil. And bearing in mind these strikes that are happening in retaliation, the same happened in Israel. Okay, those 5,000 rockets by Hamas. That will have done exactly the same thing across the border. So you can't really support any of this. I don't support any of this. This is utter destruction on a monumental scale. Occupied Palestine, I believe this is. So this is happening. Not too sure exactly where it is, but yeah, rockets being fired. There's obviously, thank you, Mr. President. We've got the flag on the right-hand side, America and Israel flag. So, yeah, that's America's stance on it, or at the very least, the president's stance on it. They stand with Israel on the matter. And this is from local sources. Heavy gunfire targeted the Dotan military checkpoint near the town of Yabad, southwest of Jenin. And if we zoom in to this area here, it doesn't look like it's heavily residential at all. But what we can see is that it's obviously a military checkpoint of some sort, and it's on a pretty much a main route. And this route leads all the way into other main areas. So why is it important to take these military checkpoints out? Well, if you're wanting to gain access into these areas from just even a very, very, very basic tactical standpoint, you want to take out these checkpoints first. So that's why these areas are going to be targeted on from both sides. Okay, and that happened not so long ago. Now, the defense minister and former chief of staff said in a statement alongside Netanyahu, our standing here is a clear message to our enemies and to all citizens of Israel. We are all together. So we are hearing that a lot about we stand with Israel and everyone's together. So they're taking a stance on this, a heavy stance of solidarity and togetherness, okay? The defense minister also says what happened has not happened to the Jewish people since 1945. There's no situation in which you kill Israeli kids and we go about our business. You can't really disagree with that. You know, it's terrible, absolutely terrible. I think the kids that have been killed on either side is absolutely horrific. I wish that on no human life, guys, no human life at all. He also says in a press conference tonight, we will wipe Hamas off the face of the earth. So very, very stern statements there. The Saudi Crown Prince stresses the need to stop the attack on the Gaza Strip. Saudi Crown Prince has a lot more power than people think, okay? And not just politically, but just even from a financial standpoint. I mean, he's like probably is a trillionaire, okay? There's some of the wealth that these guys have in the families is crazy money, okay? Unknown to us. So yeah, these statements, I think we need to look at. America needs to look into this a little bit closer than just we're going to get our men out of there. They need to look at this on a global stage and think who else has got interest in this from the other side. Okay, those in support of Palestine and everywhere else. They need to really think about this logically and think: is it worth getting in an absolute monumental fuck up with any of these guys? Because yeah, this is going to escalate pretty quick. Now, shelling targeted east of Khan Yunis. If we zoom in a little bit here, it's probably a resident. Yeah, it's kind of residential. There's got shopping centres all around here. Quite a few shopping centres, actually. This area itself, although we can't see on the map, it looks like it's quite isolated in comparison to the other areas. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of collateral damage there, that's for sure, guys. UNRWA Arabic, we warn of a major humanitarian crisis that the Gaza Strip has not witnessed. Humanitarian crisis in terms of if it is a siege in which we classically understand a siege to be. Yeah, humanitarian-wise, there's going to be a lot of innocent people on both sides, mainly on the Gaza side, who are going to be without food, water, basic amenities, electricity and stuff like that. That's not something you want to see happen, guys, because you're going to have loads of people dying unnecessarily, okay? And it's really hard to hold those accountable to these atrocities, responsible for their actions, you know. It's unfortunate that a lot of innocent people are going to be taken out in this whole mess that's happening over there. Now, preliminary reports indicate senior Islamic Jihad members Musa Nasir was killed in an airstrike in the northern Gaza Strip. We zoom out here. Yeah, it's right next to the northern border in Beit Leah. I'm trying to think whereabouts I went. I can't remember if I went via the north when I came through this part. I can't actually remember where Bethlehem is. We'll search for that later. I'll see if I can get some photographs out of that. It was a pretty, it was an experience, put it that way, guys. Now, Israeli naval forces are currently heavily shelling different areas along the Gaza coast. You see annotated here along the coastal line, we've got obviously Israel, who are in an absolute massively dominant position in comparison to anyone they're fighting. Those shelling will be targeted. The Navy has a great way of being able to direct a barrage of armament into certain areas. So no joke, they'll be taking out areas specifically specific to hinder these people. Now, little things that's going to affect morale is taking out shopping centres, logistics, taking out even just things like little harbours where stores and stuff will be transported to and from the shore. Taking out that stops the effective passage of trade and things like that, which is going to massively hinder and affect people on the ground. From a humanitarian standpoint, it's pretty bad, okay? But yeah, that's what's happening. And, things like mosques and things like that I've seen being taken out, which is going to massively affect these people. Obviously, that's their religion of practice, of choice within the area. That's going to affect them massively. Now, Israeli boats fired shells towards the beaches of Khan Yunis and Gaza. So they're firing shells, quite far in. As you see, Khan Yunis is there, and that's about 8,000 feet from a little bit more, about 8,000 to 10,000 feet from the actual ships, potentially where they're firing them from, if that's accurate, guys. Numerous airstrikes near Al Nada Towers, northern Gaza, and planes bombed the Al Ashari building near Al Shifa Tower, west of Gaza City, so it's getting absolutely hammered. UAV strike on a building in Al Naza Gaza, so this area in Gaza is getting absolutely hammered, guys. Erdogan meets with Hamas officials in Ankara and discusses with them the file of Israeli prisoners held by the government. So probably an exchange of some sort is going to happen here, guys. Erdogan informs the Saudi Crown Prince that Ankara has begun working to send aid to Palestine civilians in Gaza. Strikes reported in Nuseirat and Khan Yunis from the sea, as we've just seen there, mainly. Now, Blinken: we are discussing opening safe corridors with Israel and Egypt, but the situation is complex and Israel must take steps that allows it to defend itself. Okay, go without saying, they have the right to defend their people. Now, Blinken: we will deter any country that tries to exploit the situation towards further escalation in the region. So deterring the country that tries to exploit the situation. So we've spoke about a number of countries already that could potentially try and exploit this situation, guys. I really hope politics doesn't go down that route. I really don't. He says, we stand resolutely against terrorism. We stand with Israel and continue to do so. Blinken added he's heading to Israel. So this man's actually getting his arse over there and getting out on the ground. Shooting targets the Huraka checkpoint south of Nablus. Shooting targets. Not sure what that is. Let's have a look at the source. Potentially they've got something on there. Yeah, nothing on that, troops. I thought it was going to be an image or something, some sort. The White House has stated that they have not seen any actor in the region deliberately trying to expand the conflict between Israel and Hamas. I think what they're talking about in terms of actors now, there's been footage out there, and again, you have to try and decipher this yourself as well. Fake news type stuff. And I'm not saying this is the truth, but there's been sources out there, especially on Twitter, stating and showing you what looks to be like a staged killing scene, okay, where people, kids, women have been put makeup on and made to look like they've been shot on the street. And it turns out that they were filming that for propaganda. Now, let's not all be surprised that propaganda on both sides will be happening, because it has happened since the dawn of time for war. It's just part of war. We shouldn't be thinking, what, propaganda? No, that's impossible. It's happened in every war, and we all know it. We've studied it in our history lessons. We learned that at 11 years old in class. We understand that. So this is no different. The context of it, which is different, of course, but will these types of things be happening right now on both sides? Potentially, yes. That's all I'm saying. I have no reason to doubt that this is going to be single-handedly the only conflict that doesn't happen. Okay, that's just not realistic thinking of me. So, yeah, that's what I think, guys, personally. But I might be wrong on that matter. Anyway, an Israeli tank kills 3 Palestinian militants who infiltrated from the Gaza Strip near the town of Niram. Let's have a look at that. So it's right next to border of some sort right there, so they're quite far in. So 3 militants, it's a bit of a death wish, if you ask me, to be that far in. Rocket salvos launched from Gaza. Israeli army. Now, what's the army doing? The Israeli army soldiers identify a number of vehicles with militants in an area adjacent to Kibbutz Niram. An Israeli army tank responded by firing towards them and thwarted 3 militants. So only 3 militants they shot at. Israeli army soldiers are continue to conduct searches in this area. So you've got a bit of a forest area in here, quite an urban region, it looks like, from this map. We've got 2 tanks within this area, I believe, getting minor traction, okay, but they are stopping what they class as terrorists in that area, guys, okay? But I think that's as far back as we're going to go. Let me know if you enjoyed the format of the video, guys. And if you want me to continue doing this, I will definitely do that for you. I have a Telegram now. So if you go on the link in the description, go join the Telegram. And I'll see you guys there. If you want to become a member or a Patreon, all links are below. I'd appreciate the support. But other than that, I'll see you in the comments. And be sensible about this, guys. All right? Try not to be hateful with each other on the internet. There's one thing for sure. There's enough of this shit going on in the world where we've got 2 sides, we've got 2 people, right? Two people on either side hate each other. And this is real life. So do we really need to hate each other online? Like, it's the least we can do is just get on. Despite having different opinions and stuff like that. I try to remain neutral on all of this, okay? I've got a number of, I don't want to say affiliations, but I've had a number of interactions with Jewish people, and I've had so many interactions with Muslim individuals. Even my 2 daughters have Arabic names, People are beautiful, people are wonderful. It's politics that ruin it for everyone, okay? So try not to hate people because of what you see on the news. That's all I'll say.